Welcome back to the 7th grade Mustache. On today's episode, we'll be speaking about levels of reality, memes, levels of consciousness, and how all these things come together in an augmented, manipulated type of way. So let's begin by talking about the world that we occupy and the levels of it. In particular, the reality that binds everything together. So we'll call that the foundation reality. And that's the physical world that's made up of planets and stars, oceans, animals, insects, stuff like that. Things that you watch on the Discovery Channel or a Netflix documentary about, tigers eating buffaloes out in the wild somewhere. So that is the foundation reality, and that's nature. So when you go out and you walk into nature, it's wild and it's unpredictable and it's beautiful and it's primal. So there's that baseline. Everything is built on that one. And then
that's the mean.
That is followed by the man-made reality. And we'll call that Legoland. And Legoland is the world created by man. It's highways and grocery stores and governments and national borders, languages.
A false sense of security that's developed just to make you feel superior.
Mm-hmm. And that's the man-made Legoland. All right. And then there is the glue reality. The glue reality is the one that binds both of those together. It is the things that your consciousness reaches for these things. It reaches for the edge. It's attempting to understand things like dark matter. It's attempting to understand things like time travel and teleportation, black holes. That is the glue reality. Space, but the nature of physics and quantum physics and the sub-reality, the sub-floor, the structure that holds everything that you see, the structure that holds the Earth together, that keeps the gravity on the planet, that keeps us spinning around, tilted at an angle, blah, 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 blah.
It's the unseen, tangible things like gravity that makes all this possible. We know about it, but you can't. It's tangible only in concept, but you like know this, without it,
what it is, it's the stuff that secret societies teach to each other. That's what this is. The glue reality is the sacred science. It is the Fibonacci spirals. It's the sacred geometry. It's the Merkaba. It's the flower of life. It's how, if you look at Negro hair, the way it grows off of the skull, it grows in a spiral. Now, when you look at European hair, there's only one spiral at the center of the skull. But if you also look at nature, you see that spiral in the whirlpool. If you look at your hand, you see a fingerprint. It's a spiral. If you look at tornadoes, spiral. These are all the fingerprints.
It's naturally reoccurring. It reoccurs all over the place.
These are the fingerprints of God. And that's the glue reality. But now let's talk about the consciousness or the inner world. That was the outer world we're talking about now. Now we're going to talk about the inner world. The inner world is the way you interact with those three realities. And for example, like we create models and symbols that allow us to label levels of awareness, levels of consciousness.
Yeah.
So you have the beta and the theta and the delta and the gamma levels of thinking and awareness, so that when you're going into sleep, you're going through each of these levels. So you're naming each of these. And in that, there is what you would call naming consciousness. Naming consciousness is a way of measuring and categorizing and putting a name on all things. But in doing that, it's how you separate apart from the whole. My toe from my entire foot, my hand from the rest of my body. And so that's part of the naming consciousness. It's useful. It's very useful because it allows you to describe the reality, but you can't get stuck in that. And so what happens is the powerful people that run society, that many people refuse to exist, to
acknowledge.
People refuse to acknowledge their existence. They trade in this, okay? And they use this to deflect you away from the truth so that you will focus on your Netflix and chill with your microwave dinner or your whatever food you have being delivered to you, or
Your
your
electric
swiping
car.
left and swiping right.
Right. Yep.
And you can get so caught up in the details that you forget to shift from that reality into another one. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, when you're talking about these powers that be, these whether it's corporate, whether it's secret society, whatever, they love to label things so to discredit them. Like the talk we had earlier was about like conspiracy theory, and whenever somebody talks about something that they don't want, they hit them with a conspiracy theory that you're a conspiracy theorist. Actually, the theorist is the person that believes the bullshit because they're believing in a theory. It's almost religious. You're believing in something that you can't see. That's something that is a concept that you want to fall in love with, and you believe that. You're the conspiracy theorist. You're the one that's falling for the bullshit. The person that speaks up is not always a theorist. It's not even a conspiracy. A conspiracy is real. The theory they stick on there to discredit it. And these companies or corporations or these countries or these governments, they know that people love to worship things, and they'll put something out there for you to religify, or like, hey man, Facebook, social media, it's at an epic level, and they love to hit you with that shit, and you fall for it. So I'm like, no, the conspiracy theorist is the person that believes it, not the person that questions it.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because they often attempt to turn that around on you. But the creation of that term, conspiracy theory, was the mind fuck. It was the way of turning it around and shoving it back in your face. Like the same way people use the word anti-Semitic. And they don't understand that a Semite is both a Jew and an Arab. So,
But we attribute it to Jews. When somebody says anti-Semitic or you're anti-Semite, then, oh, you don't like Jews. Or how about this one? How about this term? Homophobia. So if I don't like gay people, that means I'm afraid of them. Phobia is phobic. That's like arachnophobia means scared of. I'm not scared of gay people. I just don't think that their rights are the same as mine because I'm black and their persecution is different. Now, I'm not dissing gay people, but I'm saying that by putting that word, you're homophobic. I'm like, am I scared of homosexual? No. But if I don't think that should be taught to like 3-year-old kids, nah, it's another thing. But I have no problem with anybody being gay or straight. But like I said,
it's not the same as being like aquaphobia, like being afraid of water or afraid to get wet.
Acrophobia. I'm scared of heights. Yeah, I was, So
arachnophobia, scared of spiders. So like you're as afraid of spiders as you are of gay people.
As you are of gay people.
No, no.
But what we're saying is this is the power of suggestion. This is the power of these terms. This is the power of branding. Branding. I'm sorry. It's almost like a brand, and like if you get branded with that, that's a bad thing. And so, one of the things that's heavy on my heart right now is the death of DMX. And all of a sudden, all these memes start popping up about Jay-Z and Beyonce, or Jay-Z is purchasing his masters, giving it back to the family. Or the other one is Jay-Z is canceling his debt with Def Jam. And I'm like, there's some kind of movement out there to make us love Jay-Z and Beyonce way beyond their actual reality. And that's what we mean by augmented reality. I remember, I don't want to lie about the date, but I think it's like 15 years ago. On YouTube, there was a video of DMX talking about Jay-Z. And DMX said, DMX was big into God and angels and stuff. He said, look, I seen Jigga go in the studio and he had demons behind him. And the guy who's interviewing was like, you mean people? Like, no, I'm not talking about the white people. I'm talking about, and that's when people kind of start fucking with him. But DMX always talked about that. And he was saying the stuff that he saw, and a big part of that makes me think two things. One, he saw something he wasn't supposed to see and affected him. That might be the reason he's doing drugs or was into what he was into. Two, the fact that everybody wants to say like Jay-Z is this mythical savior, and DMX said he wasn't. And so the family came out and said, first things first, our loved one Earl did not OD. They're saying that he got the vaccine a week ago and heart attack later. They're also saying ain't nobody trying to help. This is Swiss Beats, somebody who was very close to him saying like, nah, Jay-Z ain't do these things. But all it took is a meme. All it took is a meme to get this movement going. And people, and when something goes viral nowadays, it doesn't take much. It just needs a nudge, and it takes on a life of its own. And I want to know who out there wants us to admire and love Jay-Z and Beyonce this much. What's that about? That's another mind fuck. And like I said, it could just be a little nerd someplace who made the meme, or it could be an actual movement that we need to be aware of.
Okay. So continuing with the levels of consciousness, the second is open consciousness or empty consciousness. And you hear about this a lot in martial arts and in Eastern mysticism. And it's about emptying the mind and mindfulness. And in this level of consciousness, you experience you experience the silencing of the internal dialogue. We walk around all the time with all this chatter in our heads, and I got to go get these shoes. I got to go pay this bill. I got to do this, blah, 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 blah. I got to call her because if I don't, blah, 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 blah. All this nonsense in your head all the time. And every now and then, you get a break. You might pull up in a parking lot, or you standing somewhere outside, and you see a bird, and you see the most ridiculously gorgeous bird. It'd be a blue jay or a cardinal, or it might be springtime and the flowers are blooming, and you're talking to somebody and you turn your head like, wow. And that washes all that bullshit out of your head for a second. Because, wait, hold on. But you're shifted all the way back to the primal state. And you went from Legoland back to the foundation reality for a second. You're like,
natural human. All I was saying was that you're not looking at it. You're feeling it. You're not sensing it with your ears. You're feeling it inside you. Like that bird could have flew up behind you. You would sense it. Like when you're in a car driving, you got that focus, and you could feel somebody coming into your lane, and you avoid an accident. That's because you're in touch with something else. You feel something infringing on your space. You can feel it you sense it without naturally looking over there. That's, like you said, primal is the term you use, whatever you want to, but you contact something. That's some dope shit. That focus is amazing.
So then there's the third level of consciousness, and it's union consciousness. And it's where you've left the emptiness and you pass through that and you see the connectivity of everything. And it's what I refer to as the Tao. When you can see the Tao, when you can see the way, when you see the animating force that is connecting everything in life together, when you see the force in action, when you see the force move through things, when you see how the breeze is moving everything, or moving just a group of trees over here, or moving some flowers over here, or that bush, you're seeing everything moving together or separate, depending on the rhythms that are confined in that area. And that's the union consciousness, how it binds all these things together. And there's a math to that. The math to that, the algorithm, is synchronicity. And there is a way that all these things can be broken down mathematically. And some of them have a rhythm, and some of them have a tone, and some of them make natural music.
A frequency. That's what Tesla was talking about.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So here's the problem, though. Going back to what I was saying about the manipulation of your awareness, because there's people that want to keep you in Legoland. They don't want you to leave Legoland. And so you're on these devices that are so powerful, they have more computing power than the Apollo era astronauts used to get to the moon. So you have all of this power, computing power, in your pocket, but you use mostly for porn and to look at sexy people online and to buy shit and to yell at people that you don't know. All the while, there is boundless beauty all around you. even
How
in
about
the
this? How about
city.
the power of that computer that you can like actually solve some major shit or actually do something, but you much rather use it to argue with somebody who lives in another state.
With people you don't know. And then you have those people that have more friends online than they do in
In
reality.
reality,
And I'm like, ooh, that's sad, baby, that's sad.
no. How about this one? Have you ever had somebody say you didn't accept my Facebook invite, or you didn't accept me as a friend on Facebook? I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And then like you don't do it because like either you when you log in, sometimes you look at certain stuff or you like read something real quick and then you log out. So a week later, you still haven't accepted my invite. We're not they're getting pissed because I'm like, okay, look, I'm sorry, it's not a thing to me. I have real friends. I see you right now.
You know
I
what?
brought you lunch.
I had a major turning point many years ago when I realized I can't have every woman that I'm attracted to. And
Why not? When that
no,
happens,
no, you can't. It's just reality, dude. You can't have
it's
every.
called it's called adulthood. It's maturity.
It's
Like, oh,
it's
okay.
maturity.
Well,
It's adult. Yeah, this is a long ass time ago, but the point is, but the point is that it settles into you that you don't have to chase everything. And you don't have to be like that dog in that Pixar movie Up. Squirrel. This anything can get your attention at the drop of a hat. And when my focus began to narrow more, narrow into the size of a pinhead on a wall, I realized that there's a lot of people that are easily distracted.
but there's a lot of distractions too, and you pick those. Sometimes you pick your own distractions, and that stops you from getting your goal. So,
But
yeah,
dude,
once
but
you got
dude,
over the whole
but
pussy
dude,
thing,
but look. Even on social media, how many times do you see some clickbait story? It can be on email landing page, it can be on Instagram, it can be on Twitter, it can be on whatever. And it's like it's some chick that's like, "Oh, I fell down some stairs and I broke a heel." And it's some bad bitch, you know what I'm saying? And she looked like she's perfectly fine. This it's distraction. Like you see all this bullshit around you, like distraction. Like I don't want to watch another chick dancing on fucking Instagram. I don't care. I don't have time. I don't have time for this shit.
hey, Roscoe, here's how you know the fix is in. Do you remember a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago? What was the common thing everybody talked about? How come whenever I talk about something around my smartphone, I see an advertisement for it on Facebook?
Because of
I can talk about
microphones.
going on. Yeah, yeah, hold it. But then all of a sudden, when what's his face started getting in trouble for spying on people, recently, past year, it stopped happening. Me and you were talking about fly fishing, and you would see some flies on Facebook. You don't see that no more. So are they have they stopped listening, or have they stopped using the information in the same
No,
manner?
they were
But the
taken to
point being
court,
is
and the
that
justice system made them stop doing some of that.
yes, yes, Zuckerberg got in trouble for it. That's my point. So people don't even talk about that no anymore. But that was a thing a year and a half, 2 years ago. That every time, hey, I would talk about a product like dog food, and I would see, and no, so that means that one, it was controllable. Two, it wasn't by accident. But you need to recognize that it stopped happening. That's my point. Pay attention to it. It has stopped happening. That's a problem.
Right. So again, there are so many distractions, but these distractions are meant to keep you in Legoland. The Japanese have a term called forest bathing. And they realized in the 80s that with the explosion of video games, there's a limit to how much time you can spend in front of a screen. And this is in the days of Nintendo. The Japanese figured this out. And they said, you know what? I need to go out to the woods. I need to go out past Mount Fuji. I need to go out to the Eagle
Get some
Mountains.
reality.
I need to
Get some
go
real
and
reality.
where there's no electronic signal. And so they were bathed in the negative ions of the river or the trees or the soundscape that's in the woods. And it cleans you out. It cleans your bullshit out because the vibrations, there's no 60 cycle hum all around you. There's no ridiculous background noise. Dude, listen, when we record this show, recording this show, man, I am so keenly aware of background noise. It's ridiculous.
We know, but yeah, it's different because
No, but
senses are different.
exactly. But see, but the thing is that you're focused on these things, so that when I'm, it's so crazy. I'll be just out and about, and I'll be talking on the phone, and man, this past week, every time I pick up the phone, there's a police siren or a fucking fire truck, and it's not until I get on the phone I'm like, okay,
What the fuck?
right. But again, that's the mathematics or the synchronicity of Legoland. So the
The
thing,
Legoland analogy that my brother's trying to get you to understand is that it's a reality we talk about this in other shows, of course. You're trading your reality for something easier, something that cares about you, that's going to take care of you, and you don't have to worry about it. But nah, but if they're lying to you to maintain it, that's a problem. Anytime that the lie is necessary to maintain, it's a problem, and you're not safer. They're not looking out for you. They give you a stimulus check. What are they stimulating? Are they stimulating the economy, or are they stimulating your mind to make you think that they really did some shit? Do you understand the difference?
both. It's supposed to do both. But and then of course, oh man, I was in a store and they had the TV on in there, and I'm not even looking at the screen, but this is what I hear. I hear, because of the concern over blood clots and from the vaccine for the coronavirus, it's important that you understand that it's actually more dangerous to get blood clots from the coronavirus than it is from the vaccine.
Blood clots
Well,
from the vaccine.
bitch, I don't have the coronavirus. And
I don't have blood clots either.
yeah, I don't have blood clots. And guess what? I'm not taking the vaccine, so I don't need none of that bullshit. So I'm good. But you're trying to sell me on this bullshit the same way you get celebrities to get up there and be like, you know my face. You can trust me. I'm a famous black actor. Right? Okay, go get the shot.
How about when we were kids? You remember this one? I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV.
Right.
What the fuck? You're not a doctor, but you want to give me medical advice, or you want to tell me to buy this? This is the same thing. It's to make you feel better, not be better. Feeling better and being better ain't the same thing. And we told you that before.
But what this is people cutting up your food for you. Imagine if every place you went, even if you didn't want it, somebody would come and cut up your food for you.
Man, that would get fucking annoying.
No, because look, you on a date, right? And you're like, yeah, girl, I just want to tell you.
Candy bar, my nigga.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just, you're trying to lay like the groundwork so you can get some smash later on, and some garçon rolls up on you and without asking you and starts cutting your steak up and like, hey man, kick rocks, I'm working over here. Get the fuck out of here. That's what that is, man. They're dumbing shit down for you so much, whether you like it or not. But see, going back to what I was saying about Legoland, you can get out of Legoland and go back to the foundation reality. You can do it at any time. The crazy part about it is you can do it in the city. You can do it in the city by just shifting your attention, your assemblage point, where you're focused on. Because every now and then you have to do a mental check of yourself. You do. And so some of the ways you can do this is by having life-changing events happen to you. Car accidents, breakups, a birth of a child, the death of a loved one, illness, all these things are borderline supernatural moments that will rip your reality apart and force you to look in another direction, because
it alters your perception of time. Like that, from that moment forward, you've changed. You've been altered, like fundamentally altered, all because of something that took place.
Okay, but see, there's also the artificial tampering with the timeline. And people, powerful people, that they're so rich, they want control. They have so much money, it doesn't matter anymore. Keeping control is all that matters, Because
That's the Mandela effect we talk about all the time.
but dig this, You think I'm bullshitting? How many times have you been in a relationship, or have you been that motherfucker in a relationship that was like, where you going? Let me see your phone. What do you mean? What? Your friends? I don't like her. Don't go out with her. You either been in that relationship or you was on some bullshit and you was that person once before. And now extrapolate that to you got a million side pieces or you got a nation of side pieces. And you don't want those side pieces getting out of pocket.
No.
You want those side pieces to stay in Legoland.
Stay in place. Know their place.
And
Know your
keep
place.
playing in their dollhouse, right? And keep playing with their toy cars, right? And keep playing with all the toys that you gave them to keep them pacified. You see?
Look, we always talk about this pimping thing, and that's what we mean. Pimps create bullshit to keep you occupied. Like, okay, they'll create a fight between two of their hoes just to keep them bringing me money, and so now they're competing with each other to see who can bring the most money. It's like colonialism. Oh, wait a minute, you don't like you, and you guys want to have a war, but I still make all the money. The bank still makes all the money, and this is what they've been doing for years. But again, the war is tangible. We're in that fight. It matters to us. We hate this other person, but somebody else derives benefit from both of our misery. That's bullshit. But that's the distraction that Roscoe's talking about. You get distracted by this bullshit to keep you from waking up. It's just keep you staying in this Legoland reality. This shit that was built artificially. You got real mountains out there taller than these buildings, but hey, this building is awesome. No, it's bullshit. It makes you think that you accomplished something and you really ain't did shit. You're on Facebook arguing, but you ain't getting no closer to your goal. You ain't make no more money. You ain't getting no more pussy. You ain't had no more kids. You ain't acquired no more property, but you on Facebook. So what'd you do all day? I was on Facebook.
Right. But then you see things. You see things that shiver on the edge of Legoland. And you're like, what is that?
Glitch in the Matrix.
You see a chemtrail going horizontal across the sky. But what happens when you see a chemtrail go vertical, straight up from the horizon into the sky? And you're like, I thought Elon Musk was down in Florida launching them rockets.
Yeah, you call your best friend and say something because ain't nobody else going to believe you.
Because nobody going to believe you. Or you're 11 years old and you're walking down the street and you look up and you see this huge silver rocket looking object in the sky. And it's going about maybe 20 miles an hour. And it's making this noise like, and nobody on the ground is paying attention except you. And your skull is exploding and folding back on itself over and over again while you look at this thing. And you're looking around and everybody seems to be in a trance. All little black girls is playing double dutch. All little boys is in the street playing football or playing basketball or on the porch playing with the G.I. Joes or whatever. And you are looking up and you see this thing that looks like something straight out of sci-fi flying towards the Air Force base that you've been to many times in your life. And you wonder, what am I looking at? And it's at that moment you have this.
What about the cover story that they put on the news that, a satellite came down or something? I've seen it over and over. Like, why did they take time to even make up a lie?
Right.
Because they want you to stay within that fake reality.
Right. And so then, right, dude. So the whole thing, like I said, there's things that just there are ripples in this reality where it doesn't fit. It does not fit in. It doesn't fit with the narrative. This isn't part of Legoland. This object in the sky isn't supposed to fly like that because in Legoland things fly this way or things fly that way. But this is doing something different. Does anybody have an explanation for me? No, you're just crazy. Really? I think you're fucking crazy because you won't acknowledge it.
I told you about the story Like when I had to talk with the homeboy's dad, and he said, it's hard for people to understand when an airplane doesn't belong in a specific airspace. You know, only a military person is going to get that. But when you try to tell somebody else that plane doesn't belong there,
Right.
or
Okay.
and I'm like,
Let's paint the picture. Okay, everybody, you outside and you're at a barbecue. You're at a barbecue. Everybody chilling. They bumping music, and you see some fighter jets fly by slowly, about 2,000 feet up in the air. Now I'm talking about low, like helicopter
low.
low.
I was going to say more like 700, but go ahead, go ahead. I
Right.
dig it.
And so anybody that knows a little bit something about airspace be like, those don't belong around here. Dude, one time I was on the south side of Atlanta by the airport, and I know the flight patterns of these airplanes going into Hartsfield because I used to live right by Hartsfield and shit, right? That time you came to visit me years ago, that was by the airport and shit, right? So I know like when planes are flying in, all this shit, dude. All of a sudden, this day, it was like a Saturday afternoon. All of the planes stopped. And do you remember the GI Joe Tiger Force, the Tiger Strike air helicopters?
Yeah,
Dude, this thing looked like a Black Hawk, and it was painted in the Tiger Stripe, Tiger Force. You know what I'm saying? Like Tiger Stripe fucking paint job,
camo kind of
camo paint job, and this thing flew at a weird angle, cutting across the airspace, hauling ass, and I'm like, what the fuck is that about? And it was but hold on, wait. This thing had to be 1,000 feet off the ground, dude. And I'm like, planes would hit this fucking thing.
That was my point. I was going to say that, but there were no other planes in the sky.
None.
So if there's no other planes in the sky, that means whatever base radioed to the tower is, hey, clear the airspace for so long. We got something going on.
Yep.
So when there's nothing else in the sky, that's not by accident.
It was like somebody hit a pause button because like I was out there for a minute and I heard all these airplanes and it's like stopped and got quiet. I'm like, that's strange. And then you hear it and you're like, what? That's weird. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it could be a military operation. Okay, that's a plausible explanation. But the other ripples in reality that we're talking about are the type of UFO type shit that you see in the sky and nobody wants to touch because it will knock down the Legos in Legoland. So, yeah, that's the problem because everybody wants to keep Legoland standing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
That's because it pays the best. Look, even money is a concept. Money doesn't have value. It's a concept. And so if they can get you to believe
money is an agreement. It's an agreement.
It's a handshake, yeah. And if I can get you to believe one lie, that this piece of paper has value, then you'll believe my next lie. See, it takes two people to lie. You dig? It takes one to tell a lie, but it takes one to believe it also.
And so, for my next trick.
Dude, see? And so when they got you, when they get you hooked on the money thing, what did Bob Marley say? He's like, money is numbers. And numbers are infinite. So if I need numbers to be happy, you can never be happy because numbers go on forever. So the concept that this has value, that's the first lie they teach you. Just like the Easter Bunny, Jesus, whatever the things they teach you early on, that's to control your behavior. And they teach you that to control your behavior. And once you accept one lie, you'll accept them all gladly, long as there's something rewarding you at the end of that shit. That's all I'm saying.
Well, the problem with Legoland being disrupted is that sometimes you go down the street in Legoland and there's something that used to be there isn't there anymore. And I'm not talking about it was demolished. I'm talking about the people
they rebuilt it
that
put it back.
Control Legoland that also have awareness of the glue reality. They belong to these special groups that they tell you all they do is get together and drink beer. But the people that are in control of these beer drinking groups have smaller meetings in smaller rooms inside these halls.
And they drink adrenochrome.
And they drink adrenochrome. But
I'm sorry.
And then they go back to work and they wait for the cue of the solar equinox or whatever other pagan holiday they have. And they toast some adrenochrome to take a shot, and they pull the switch, and the shift happens. And the narrative is shifted to one that they want, because those lines that were in the movie that you remembered verbatim because you said them 1,000 times have changed. And then you are a refugee from another reality. What's crazy is somebody that you've known all your life is now a refugee from a separate reality that you are not from. So then you're like, damn, man. Like, wait a minute.
I thought we was closer than that.
I thought we was from the same reality. I thought we was on the same page. Clearly,
I'll give you that.
Clearly, the piccolo player is a motherfucker.
He's a mother. Here's a small example. I got to be careful because people know people. One of my brothers, and so he's married or whatever. Him and his wife are going through something. So he messed around and slept with her cousin, right? So he slept with the cousin. So they're arguing about it in the car going back home. They have an accident. She has amnesia. She can't remember the last 4 days. So, yes, she doesn't remember the whole conversation. So he's thinking that when she wakes up, they're broken up, and she wakes up, they're not broken up. She doesn't remember the last 4 days. That's augmented reality. Like we both exist on the same plane. We both on the same timeline, but you have different experience.
The crazy part is that car crash was one big way of gaslighting her. That's crazy, dude. Like
So she straight up Men in Black neuralizer shit.
That's some Men in Black, the Mac, sit down in this movie theater and watch his movie type shit.
I remember the Mac. They had the what is it called when they do the stars and shit.
That's what I'm talking about in the movie theater.
Yeah, I know which one. I can't think of what it's called though. Damn, because they had one at Burke. But
you're talking about the observatory.
Yeah, that's what I can think of it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But like I said, these are two people, same place, same time, different reality, different experience. And you can take it for what it's worth. I'm just trying to give you an example of how this works and how this can actually happen. And it happens all the time. But just because you're not aware of what took place in somebody else's reality, or it didn't have the same impact on you, but like I said, she lost 4 days. And,
but
they still got divorced for something else. But
wow, that means he had a fresh start and he kept fucking up.
Yeah, fucking up.
Damn, man, you had a fresh start and you fucked it up again. You should have got another car accident, dude.
Oh no,
on some fucking some tenant type shit. But dude, so this is the crazy part because all right. They can change things. They can change things like hieroglyphics. So hieroglyphics are memes from another time. And so memes are hieroglyphics. But they're not the most useful hieroglyphics because it's all pop bullshit. It's all pop culture bullshit. But because of that, they're very effective, though. They're very effective at distracting you and putting out lies. And sometimes they're very effective at just giving you a laugh. I mean, there's plenty of memes that just make you fucking this horse laugh. But the problem is that, okay, so what if when they found Tutankhamun, there was something inside the pyramid with him? Excuse me, the tomb with him.
The sarcophagus, yeah.
The sarcophagus. And so, but the problem is that they can go back and change the narrative. So the people that control the narrative control reality. You see? And if you can control time, you can control the narrative. The problem is that so many people like Legoland so much, they're not willing to dip their toe into the glue reality, to peel back the curtain and see who these people are who are manipulating shit. Because if you did, it would scare the shit out of you. And so people like to stay in their lane and watch Netflix and chill. But because of the pussification, which each successive generation we have fewer and fewer people willing
Weaker,
to fight.
weaker, and weaker.
Right, with these soft ass cold fish handshakes. So again, it makes it harder to mount resistance against the darkness. So that's how you wind up with music that has all this satanic imagery. As if motherfuckers didn't learn shit from rock music in the 80s and the satanic panic.
Preach. Hold up, preach, because I was about to go there. Like the big buzz right now is Little Nas X, and he has these shoes that have blood in them, and they're all
shoes.
satanic. And he did the video. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not a fan, and I'm not excusing what he did or anything like that. But I'm saying, if you were around in the '70s, Kiss did the same thing, and all of a sudden, people love Kiss now. But Kiss had a comic book, and they went down to the Marvel, whatever, and they all put a pint of blood in the ink. So if you bought a Kiss comic book back in the '77, whatever, please, like I said, I don't remember. The whole thing that Nas X did with the shoes and all this, it's been done before. Just don't fall for the okie doke. But I think the difference is these people are so wayward, they'll fall for this shit and they'll follow behind them like the Pied Piper. The other thing I wanted to bring up, sometimes you learn something when you're little, but you don't know what to do with it, or you don't know how to use it. But when you get older, you're like, okay. I remember Bobby Hemmett was talking about. He said you got to be careful with certain words. He said that's what he was talking about these African societies. Remember, they used to have that one guy to remember shit, and they wouldn't write stuff down. It's not because they didn't have writing. It's not because he said, why do you think when you spell a word it's called spelling? Because you're casting a spell. And he's breaking this shit down. I'm like, yeah, a lot of these societies didn't write it down, not because they weren't advanced, it's because they didn't want to cast a spell. And he was talking about the word nigger. And he was like, for some reason, why don't white people want you to say nigger? Because they were the ones using it in a negative way. And he broke it down like, we need to find out the origin of the word because you're casting a spell. You might be help. And he broke this shit down in a way where he's like, that word has some kind of power that they don't want you saying, because it was funny when they were using it against us. But when we started using it, we started gaining some kind of power. So that word might be a spell, or it might be something that you don't. And I'm like, God damn, this is some deep shit. But like I said, when you were a kid, you were learning like, hey, many African societies didn't write stuff down. And you thought it was because they were savages. No, they were trying to maintain the right kind of shit. Same thing when all these African societies were naked, running around. It wasn't because they couldn't build. They built the pyramids. They didn't believe in letting this evil entity, whatever it was, take over. And so sometimes I think that we think the old ways are dumb, or we abandon the old ways because we just don't have anybody there to witness to you and tell you, hey, this is what it was really about. And we miss that shit.
Right. But sometimes I think it's important for us to be shaken out of our stupor, because we're reminded of our power. We're reminded of the abilities that we have that are latent within us that we're not using. And there's things that happen to you that the primal man or the primal woman comes alive and saves your life. And it's as if you're accessing your ancient Saiyan DNA, and you turn Super Saiyan for a second to handle some shit, and then you turn back into a regular person. Because it's always
there. You couldn't control it.
Yeah, exactly. Because you've never been taught to, So you get these explosions of this transformative power, and they're just these blinks. There's these like little, quick little peek at it, but it's always there. But because we stay in Legoland, we never get to see it, because we're focused on the wrong shit. And it's like, okay, well, how do I begin to teleport out of Legoland and tap into this ancestral DNA and these abilities? Because, like you were saying, we're always taught to think that the old ways are dumb and the old ways are weak, or that we're the best version.
Obsolete.
Or we're the best version of our genetic line, right? We're always like, oh, man, my great-grandpa was probably dumb as fuck. You know what I'm saying? I'm way smarter than him. You know what I'm saying? That motherfucker, he worked with his hands, and he didn't go to school and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, man, do you know how strong that motherfucker was? Do you know how much
School
dick,
is about indoctrination. It's not
you
about
know how much
education. It's
dick
about
that guy was
indoctrination.
slinging? You know what I'm saying, dude? Like,
Oh, everything, every version of a man, he was more of a man
yo,
than.
so that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's a major disrespect to be that fucking arrogant when it comes to where you come from. But part of that is because that bullshit has been trained into you because you're mimicking some shit you saw on some fucking
On TV.
shithead
Yeah.
TV show that was written by some fucking writer that don't like you, that don't like your fucking people, and wants to fucking make you think that you're inferior to this person or to them, and it's all psychological warfare. And
But when you're distracted, you won't rise up against them. You won't recognize that you're greater, or you won't learn from your ancestors because you're so disconnected. Well, they didn't have money. They didn't need money. Remember, they frowned on the rich people back in the day. Like, man, shit, I can do shit for real. But that rich motherfucker wouldn't get in a fight with that country farm motherfucker. Or so the whole thing is the idea: the more money you have, the more value you have, is a hustle. That's each lie compounds the next lie. Well, that's a lie also. Having more money is not making you better. Making you better is making you better.
in Japanese martial arts, in ninjutsu and karate, there is there's a sound. It's called a kiai. That's a yell, and people watch martial arts movies and they just think, ha, ha, ha. They just making noises. No, man. Like when done properly, you can paralyze a person with the sound of your voice. Try it sometime. Walk in on some kids playing, and they just going crazy, and just be like, "Hey!" The word sound power behind your voice will stop them little motherfuckers in their tracks. And guess what else? It works on shithead adults that never got their ass whooped, that were
Verbal judo.
walk around entitled all the time. Try it out. Just see, like, instead of hitting somebody, just go, "Hey!" Like, watch it. Like, it shocks the shit out of people. Like, everybody in the room would turn around and be like, did he just karate chop that motherfucker? Like, what happened? What it does, it's a vocal, it's a sonic way of ripping through Legoland. You're knocking down Legos. You just like the Kool-Aid man. You just bust through a wall of Legos with your voice. This shit works. I've done it a bunch of times.
Look, it's a tool. It's a tool that you got to use to wake people up. Like, you're not waking them up from the whole thing. You're just waking up to you, to respect me. Don't fuck with me. You can fuck with all these other motherfuckers in here, but be known that if you come across me wrong, I'm gonna change. I'll be that car accident. I'm gonna give you amnesia. You're gonna forget everything.
Here's a test.
Leave me the fuck alone.
Here's a test. The next time you find yourself looking at a fat ass twerking on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, stop. Take your phone and put it face down. And if you're outside, look up at the sky. If you're near a window, go look out the window. Just put the phone on the table, put it face down, and go look at the sky for a second. Just look at it.
That big booty hypnosis is fucking with you, stopping you from progressing.
But no. This is the crazy part because there's so much trickery and fuckery on Instagram and those platforms that it will make you think a fucking 5 is a 10. Dude.
Look. Have you, like, I'm a Dragon Ball guy. Have you ever went Ultra Instinct? Have you ever beat somebody up by accident? Yeah. And so when it happens, that's because you tapped into that primal shit. I told this story before. I beat a guy up because he broke my table. But when it happened, I didn't realize what I was doing.
Tell us. No. Tell the story. Tell it as it happened. Go ahead.
Okay. I used to have a record label, me and my roommate, and people would come by the house and they would try to, perform for you or whatever. I'm like, dude, I'm just a small time dude. So this guy was over here. He's drunk. And basically what he did was he offered his sex with his girlfriend to sign a contract. I'm like, hey, dude, it's cool, but I don't work like that. Well, he's drunk and he is in my house. I said, y'all need to watch him. He's going to fall and break one of my tables. And I thought it was a table in the basement. Well, fast forward 2 o'clock in the morning, I hear a crash. Dude was drunk and he had fell through the table. So I'm like, oh my God. So I go down. I'm picking up the stuff. Like, you're too drunk. My roommate's drunk. Y'all just sit here. I'll clean this up. Well, I cleaned it up, but he just kept talking and talking, and I lost it. So I jump off the third step. My roommate gets out the way, and I just like hit the guy with an elbow.
Hold on. Your roommate saw you leaping through the air, just hit the deck.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He got the hell out the way. He was like, he said, I know what's happening next. He about to let this dude have it. So I didn't realize, but his voice just hit that nerve, and I jump, I leap, flying forearm, hit him with the elbow. Hit with a couple punches. I put him in an arm bar, and I kept hitting him. Well, I didn't. Apparently, he was offering his girlfriend to my roommate. So this naked girl walks up to me and said, "Will you please stop beating up my boyfriend? He's had enough." And I look over, and I'm vagina high because I'm on the ground.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's a muff in my face. So I said, I apologize for beating up your boyfriend. I got to get out of here. So I leave my house, and my roommate is like, man, you beat the shit out that dude. But what happened was...
Hold on, you left your own house? Man, fuck that dude. Yeah. Kick him out.
No, no. I left because I hurt the guy pretty bad. I beat him up. And I just went outside just to kind of have a laugh because we were laughing. He's like, hey... He said, man, you beat the shit out that dude. What happened? I said, you knew what happened. He wouldn't shut the fuck up. His voice was like... grading, like fingernails on the chalkboard, was grading my soul. Just shut the fuck up. Well, hopefully, if you ever tap into that primal, it's something positive. I'm hoping you build a house. I'm hoping you push through some shit. I hope you don't end up beating somebody up like I did. But when you tap into that primal shit, you get shit accomplished. I got him to stop talking. That's all I really wanted. but that whole idea is that you have this ability in you, and But you're pacified. You're placated by this bullshit society, these fake walls, these fake buildings, all this fake shit to keep you from being your greatness, to keep you guys from coming together and accomplishing a goal. Like when black people start marching, they ain't doing shit. Do you know how we beat the society back in the day? It wasn't by marching. It was by boycotting. You're supposed to boycott with the marching. You're supposed to like, okay, I'm not going to support this business. We're going to walk. We ain't going to ride the bus. And then you shut people down, and then they come to you and they respect you, and they give you your demands. But we can't unite long enough to get some real shit done. That's a distraction. This is how this bullshit works. Oh, you have a different goal than me. Nah, you don't have to agree with this shit. We know right from wrong. But when you're in the matrix, when you're in this bullshit Lego land, and they're jerking you off all the time, you think that jerking off is sex. It ain't the same thing because you ain't producing shit. It's mental masturbation. You gotta stop fucking with it. Don't let somebody jerk you off and tell you that it's good. It's not. It's a waste of time. Looking at these asses twerking, which I do like asses twerking, but you should only devote 5 minutes a day to that shit. You should be doing some other shit because it's a distraction. It's stopping you from being great. It's stopping you from taking down this society. It's stopping you from running for office, actually doing some shit. It's stopping you.
When I was a little kid, I used to have spontaneous out-of-body experiences. My dad, I would go and tell him, and he would like, "You got a head cold." I'm like, "Motherfucker, I got a head cold." Like I'm hitting the ceiling. I'm looking down at my body. I'm looking at the top of my skull, and I'm up at the ceiling looking at myself.
See, when you was a kid, it was natural. I've had a couple of those, but I also had them when I was older.
But look,
they weren't
this
natural.
Shit would happen a lot, and sometimes like I started like try it out like flexing a muscle, and I would start rising up out of my body, and I would just go sit in my room and do this shit, and I just stopped telling my parents about it because like dead end, useless. These dumb motherfuckers can't help me. I'm just I know you know what I'm saying.
What you're saying is they're not recognizing what you're putting down.
They didn't. But see, but this one, the point I'm making though. You have your own drone. You ain't got to go out and buy one. You're the drone. Your spirit consciousness is a drone that goes, it leaves your body every night and goes on a journey. All right? And then just like a drone, it has that come back home feature. It comes back to you. Every night, your spirit drone goes outside and then it comes back. It's dreaming. You see, the Aborigine talk about dream time. But see, to them, dream time is reality. And this is the fake reality that we're in. Yeah. Legoland is fake. You see? So
We're not all participants in somebody else's dream. That's
that's
some good
right.
shit.
That's right. So again, you have your own drone. You got your own drone you can use whenever you want, and you can go see some cool ass shit. Just make sure you come back. But all I'm saying is there's so much to experience. So when I was doing this, when I was having these out of body experiences spontaneously as a kid, I was leaving Legoland because as soon as I came up out of my body, I was like, "Oh, there goes Legoland," and it changed everything, bruh. Like that was the biggest reality shifter ever. When I could do that, when I could do that, I did it several times consciously, several times, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm like here, all I gotta do is just push off, and then boom, there we go. And
When you see your own body from the outside, it's a weird
it's
feeling. So
trippy. It's so trippy. But then that's the shift though. That's what I'm talking about. And this entire conversation is about how we have to learn how to shift from the Legoland to the foundation to the glue, right? Moving
more
back and
importantly,
forth between these.
how to make your own reality. You have the ability to make your own reality. Like you exist in theirs, but you also need to exist in yours. Like, okay, I'll come in here to make my money, pay my bills, take care of my kids, but I come over here when I'm like, okay, I'm getting closer to Elohim. I'm touching God's robes. I'm over here. I'm seeing some beautiful shit and that's the real shit. You can pick and choose. You can decide what's yours or what's going to be important to you. But when you leave it up to somebody else, as usual, if you leave anything up to somebody else, they do not always have your benefit, your best interest at heart. And that's what this Legoland shit is. They tell you, oh, it's safer over here. You want to be over here. You don't want to go out there and fend for yourself. You don't want to grow your own food. Eat this fake ass food we give you. It comes in a bag. It has something on the back that says nutritional value, so it must have nutrition.
Now you're talking about some shit.
Fuck.
Now you're talking about some shit because look, grocery stores are Legoland, but strawberries and apples are foundation reality. So if you look at the if you shop in just on the border edges of a grocery store, all the meat, all the fish, all the vegetables and the fruit, the cheeses, those are all on the outside. None of that stuff is loosely packaged. Look at all that stuff. It's loosely packaged, right?
You see it. You can actually see it.
You can actually
see what's
see
in the
it.
package.
Right. It is not in a box. So that type of food that's on the outside edge of a grocery store tends to be the healthier stuff. Because think about it. If you eat
real food, actual food,
you can actually eat just meat, and it's called a carnivore diet. You can actually eat just vegetables, and it's called going vegan or vegetarian. You can actually eat everything on the outside of a grocery store. But when you start eating everything that comes from trucks from other parts of Legoland, your body starts to suffer. And here's the thing. The energy quality that you get from this food on the inner parts of the grocery store, on the inner aisles, is inferior. You get inferior energy. Oh man, there's 5-hour energy and there's energy bars. That's cool. That's great. But bite into an apple. Take some strawberries and some blueberries and some cantaloupe and cut all that shit up, put some grapes in there and eat that. Now tell me how you feel after you eat that compared to eating a protein bar. You will feel refreshed. Hold on. You will feel refreshed. I was working this job, and this lady, this customer, she packed this sweet old lady. She packed a lunch for us. She's like, I made some lunch for you fellas. And she made us some sandwiches, and she put some cookies in there, and then she put some fruit salad in there. I was like, damn, fruit salad? This motherfucker got papayas in it and shit. I'm like, damn. Bruh, when I tell you we ate fruit salad, and me and my homeboy looked at each other like, yo, I feel good, man.
You got recharged. I know you're supposed to say,
dude, I got recharged, man. Like I wasn't thinking about anything but how good I felt from eating that fruit salad. I'm like, yo, you have to eat life to get life. And eat the food on the outer edge of the grocery store because that comes not from Legoland, but the edges of Legoland, from foundation reality.
What you want to understand, most healthy foods don't have a label on it. The foods that you should be eating ain't got a label, ain't got a brand name, ain't got a little box that says nutrition on it. It just doesn't. But the shit that does, they're trying to convince you what's in the box is better for you. Either good pictures. That's like porn. That's food porn right there.
But you know what? But you just said you really said some shit right there. Let me point this out. You said they got to convince you. They got to have commercials for this shit. How come ain't no commercials for strawberries? How come ain't no commercials for apples or carrots or celery? No. There's no commercials for that shit. But they got it. But yo, you got it. This ConAgra shit right here. This ConAgra dope. You got to get this. This shit. Hey, this Kellogg's dope right here, homie. This is that shit right here. You need to get this. You gonna be straight if you eat this. Really? Am I?
It's gonna make you taller. It's gonna make your dick bigger. It's gonna make your hair grow. It does all the opposite. It fucks up your circulation and all that shit that stops working because you eating shit in a box. That's why we're here, to wake you up, to bring you out that bullshit reality and come into the like, okay, we ain't saying that you need to beat nobody up, but we're saying that energy, that potential in you is there for you to do some great shit, but you got to stop jerking yourself off or stop letting them jerk you off. Excuse me. But that box of cereal, remember when you was a kid, they used to say part of a balanced breakfast.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that?
Yeah.
A balanced breakfast is a bowl of cereal and
maybe some
warm water.
They don't even put the food pyramid on the fucking box of cereal no more. They're like, no, we stopped doing that bullshit.
Yeah, because remember, that used to be part of the grains. Ain't no grain in that shit.
Dude, do you remember in elementary school they used to bring us cheese? And I remember there were like times that we would just be sitting in class and these like milkmaid ladies would show up and they would have these carts with like cheese on it. I'm like, this is nice. Like they would just show up with some fucking cheese and like they would show up with cheese and like fruit. And I'm like, oh, thank you.
Yeah, cheese and fruit. I dig it.
Yeah.
But also that's another thing is that they indoctrinate you early into the food bullshit. I'm gonna give this is some badass advertising, but this is the shit I remember as a kid. These two commercials, they had to be the same ad agency, Kool-Aid and the Schlitz Malt Liquor Bull, because they did the exact. Remember the Kool-Aid man would bust through the wall, hey Kool-Aid, and fucking up kids' kidneys all over America. You know what I'm saying? But then they had the Schlitz Malt Liquor Bull, and they would say, hey Bull, and the bull would bust through, and they would give you a 40 ounce of Schlitz Malt Liquor. I'm like, this is the same ad agency, huh? They would have like Bubba Smith or some kind of like washed up coach in there. Yeah, it's Schlitz Malt Liquor Bull, and I'm like, that's the exact same. They get you in the Kool-Aid.
No,
but they get you 40
They
ounce.
got everybody in the household. They got the kids and they got the mom and dad.
And I'm like, but it was the exact same ploy. The commercials were the same, just had a different character in the middle. And for the record, that was the first beer I drank. I was 2 years old in my dad's lap, and he was letting me drive the car. He was letting me hold the steering wheel and drink beer. So I can't make this up. That's the first beer I drank was Schlitz Malt Liquor Bull. I probably had some Coors too, because my cousin worked at Coors. But I know my dad had me in his lap. We around Fountaindale Park. You know how between the golf course and the other side? Yeah, I remember. But I digress. What I'm saying is that they use the same ploy because they start using it on you as a kid so that it works on you as an adult. That's why rap music was so great because, I'm coming up. Then Puffy would take the same thing and he would use it. Is because you were already acclimated to it. Mm-hmm. It made it easy for them to manipulate you. So, I'm not saying that religion's a fairy tale. I'm just trying to tell you, don't let them manipulate you with religion. We've said this before that Europeans use religion for the bourgeoisie to control the proletariat. That's what they use religion for. But in African religion is a tool to get to a higher form of spirituality. Use that. Let it get you closer to where you're supposed to be. Don't let somebody use it to control you and not live up to your potential. It's the same thing, but it's being used for two different things. That's all. Sorry about that. Go ahead, bro.
So, in closing, it's important that you understand that there are levels to reality that we exist in. There's different types of reality, and you are within all of them. It's like a box inside of a box inside of a shoebox, and it's how you function within those levels of reality, your level of consciousness. But it's important that you understand where the gear shifter is. so that you can move from one to the other based on what you want or how you feel or where you need to be or what's being done to you or what you want to avoid from being done to you. And I'm talking about manipulation. And I'm talking about people that control the weather and everything that you see around you. Everything. So it's important that you separate yourself from Legoland, that you get out of this man-made construct just for a second, just long enough to get a reprieve so you can breathe and really reset yourself. So I say it all the time. Listen, man, get out of the city, go to the edge of the city, go to a park, go somewhere where you can get near some fresh water or a beach or a lake or a river, and put that fucking phone in the car. It'll be fine. That's why you got voicemail and text messages. You will be fine. But you got to get off that digital titty. And you have to get over that urge to always look at your phone every 5 minutes. Breathe. Be still. Peace, be still. Still your mind. And shift into the open awareness that allows you to see and experience everything but think nothing. You see? To think nothing and experience everything.
And know the reality.
Exactly.
Hey, don't be brainwashed by these damn memes. If you see a meme is interesting, look that shit up, find out what's real. Second,
don't take it as the news either. Don't take it as face value as being the truth, because most likely it's some shit that some potato head made to get clicks or likes or whatever.
Look, here, back to the whole Jay-Z DMX thing. If you look at Jay-Z now and who he is now, but you're not looking at what happened in the past. In the past, DMX was the highest selling artist at Def Jam. Jay-Z invested his money better. DMX made more money for Def Jam. What I'm trying to make is, when you look at Jay-Z now, he's all respectable, all this shit, but he wasn't that back in the past. So don't let somebody corrupt the history. Look at the history, because that's what's going to guide us through this shit and figure out what's really going on and who's benefiting you, who's not, who cares about you, who don't. So stop looking for likes. Stop looking for clicks. Look for reality. That's what we're saying. Peace, y'all. I'll be back.
Change your reality. Change your mind. Change your life. We out. Peace.